mentioned creating your own path. What's the path that you want to create for yourself?
I want to get a message out and help other people while also building myself up and getting what I want.
That was good. Yeah. Happiness is what happens.
And that stuck with me even through challenging times that followed uh, being in the army, being an educator. When people didn't believe in me, I still was able to believe in myself because
5 years ago, I discovered podcasts and it changed my life because I started to listen to all these podcasts and start to hear all of this free information and all these fly on the wall conversations with these amazing people. And it literally changed who I am as a person. So
find that, whatever it is, that truth that aligns with us, that makes us feel good, and use that to ground us.
Wow, because life is going to come faster to those people who do that to credit.
So I just want to say, whoever's listening, thank you.
No, because it's not going to be easy. Nothing that is going to bring on change will not be easy, but I feel like just changing your physical, we need to do.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Case by Casie podcast. I'm your host, Jethro Casie, and if you're a new listener, this podcast is all about uncovering the secrets to success, one case at a time. I'll be interviewing amazing guests to try and understand what it means to win and succeed in life. If you want to go faster, you go alone, but if you want to go further, we go together. So join me on trying to figure out the secrets to success.
Is that we can have a passion way outside of those things. But a lot of times it takes a long time to figure those things out, figure out what those passions are. And so getting back to the original question, finding your why, being disciplined, making the right choices. And choices are always tough because sometimes you don't have the experience to help you make the right choice. And then being desperate, wanting it bad. If you want something bad enough, then chances are you're going to end up being disciplined because you want it bad.
So something that I know I struggled with and that a lot of young adults and even people who are older in their careers is figuring out what their why is. I know a lot of people go throughout just their daily lives kind of not knowing what their purpose is. And my question to you is, what do you believe your purpose to be, your why? What's your reason for continuing to strive for success?
Well, I like I mentioned before, it took me a long time to find my passion. And so now I have it. And I know for me, it was just doing different things. Like I said, I served in the military, but even before that, I worked in retail. I worked in other types of occupations. And so all of those things shaped me and they taught me like what I really liked, okay, and what I didn't like. And so one thing is look at what you don't like. And that's going to help you find your why, your passion. And also just the fact that, I got kids and the fact that I want them to have the best and I want to take care of them and I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want them to feel shortchanged because of something I did. And so that's always been my why. And I know, but in all honesty, when I was much younger, that was something that was a little bit more challenging. It was to find a why that was going to drive me to 3D success, to be disciplined, to make the right choices and everything. So I definitely could have, I wish I would have found that earlier. And so, I think, again, just finding that passion is so important because when you find your passion, then it's hard to not be disciplined. It's hard to leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. So something that really intrigued me the first time I met you is that you're a public speaker, and that's something that I want to be in the future. And I know a lot of people are scared about like speaking in front of groups. So I guess what tactic what do you use, if anything, to like go up there and really speak with confidence and show that you may, even if you are nervous, that you don't show it?
Well, for me, I think it just had a lot to do with the way I grew up because I grew up in the church and, as a kid, you're very shy. especially in front of audiences. But, I had opportunities to sing in the choir, even though I'm not a good singer. Had opportunities to do things in front of the church. And so that kind of conditioned me for being in front of a group. So by the time I graduated high school, it wasn't intimidating. And then also for me, being a teacher, I feel, I had opportunities to speak in front of students all day, every day. And so it's something that just hasn't been very intimidating for me because I feel like I've gotten a ton of practice. For other people that may be fearful of speaking in front of a group, I think the best thing is preparation. Preparing yourself as much as you can, knowing your material, that's going to reduce the likelihood that you'll mess up. But here's the thing. If you mess up as a speaker, chances are you're the only person that knows that you messed up. So that's an advantage you have, unless you're broadcasting and be like, oh man, I messed up. I'm sorry, people. And then a lot of times if you forgot something or whatever, the audience will have no clue because you're the only one that knows your material. And even if you do make some sort of mistake, and I've had this happen on occasion, like maybe the wrong slide pull up or something like that. I always just make a joke out of it. Like, okay, the cat's out the bag. I'm not perfect, and just keep it moving. Because like you said, most people understand that, getting in front of a group, it takes a certain skill. So most people are very understanding, I found.
And that goes back to like you being able to make a joke out of it, kind of not taking everything too seriously. And you mentioned in your book like how you should be grateful and have that grateful attitude. And this goes back to one of your other tactics. And could you just describe this to the audience about what SHAPE is?
Yeah, SHAPE. SHAPE stands for success. You're responsible for your SHAPE, your success, happiness, attitude, progress, and effort. All right. And so, I'm very much into self-development, and everything starts with you. You have to develop yourself. And so if you look at SHAPE, everything centers on attitude, the middle letter, A. And so if you have a positive can-do attitude, then chances are you're going to have some success. You'll be happy. You'll make progress, and you'll take the efforts needed. But yeah, you're the person that has to take the initiative. No one else can truly make you do something. We all have choices. And so you have to make a choice to determine your own destiny.
So did you always have this positive, like, can-do attitude? And if you didn't, what kind of, I guess, helped you build that kind of sense of self, sense of self-worth, sense of I can do this despite what other people are saying? What kind of allowed you to become that person you are now?
Well, first off, I would say no, I didn't always have that attitude. I wouldn't say I was a negative person, but I was one, especially as a younger man, just didn't push myself enough. I might have thought I was doing something, but I really wasn't. And going in the military, and also even right prior to going in the military, my manager at Foot Locker, he sat me down one day. He called me in from home. He's like, Mills. His name was, I think he actually lives in New York. His name is George Jenkins. He's like really high up in Foot Locker right now. And he called me into the store. He's like, Mills, I need to talk to you. And so I went in though, because he wanted to talk to me face to face, I guess, man to man. And so I made a mistake on the books. I was his assistant manager, and I made a mistake on the books as far as the accounting. And he's like, man, you made a mistake. We can fix this, but hey, let's talk about you. He's like, you know what? Your demeanor and everything he's like, you're just not exuding what you need to be exuding. He's like, you're a very smart guy. He's like, you're one of the smartest guys I know. And that was kind of like a wow moment for me, because we're talking about a dude that's he's a very popular, gregarious dude. He's in the fraternity and everything, Kappa Alpha Psi. And just everybody on campus in college knew him. And for him to say that, it was kind of like, wow, because he just was around a lot of people. And he's like, but your head's not in the game. And, you need to be living up to your potential. And it was a conversation that I really, really appreciated. And I needed to hear at that time because I was just really going through the motions of life at that time. And that was part of the reason why I joined the Army, because I wanted to have a little bit more direction, especially with a young family at that time. So I went in the Army, and the Army is one of those things where they don't make it easy for you to quit or take it easy. And so I learned like, oh, this is what it takes to be successful. This is hard work. And so that really set the foundation right there for where I'm at right now. Because, I started to understand like I had to push through. And prior to that, I never really was pushing through. I was giving up easily. And yeah, I learned and I know I shared in my presentation a price list, and it's in my book too. And I was committed to mediocrity prior to that. And then I learned what it took to be good or great. And that stuck with me even through challenging times that followed being in the Army, being an educator. When people didn't believe in me, I still was able to believe in myself because I knew that I was talented. I knew what I had accomplished being in the Army. I accomplished some really cool things while in there. And so I believed in myself. And so when it came to speaking, it was like, you know what, I can make this work. It's tough, you got to grind, but by the time it was time for me to get into speaking, I understood that. I understood how to make that work.
So something that I really resonated with is that you mentioned how like you struggled with working hard, and that's something that I struggled with as well, and I still do, wondering if I am working hard enough. And sometimes when you don't get that outside recognition, it's really difficult to know whether you are on the right path. And one thing that you mentioned is that you changed from mediocrity to becoming good or even great. Was that a difficult jump? Because I think a lot of people in their minds believe that to change from mediocrity or being mediocre to becoming good or even a great person, that it's very difficult. Is that as big of a, I guess, hurdle as people believe, or is it just like smaller steps that eventually get you there?
I think it could be both, honestly. I really do. For me, like I said, the catalyst was going in the Army and being in such an environment to where they don't allow you to quit, or they don't make it easy for you to quit. So trust me, if it was the type of environment where it would have been easy to quit, I probably would have when the chips were down in basic training. I probably would have like, man, I'm out. I'm going back to Louisiana. But again, they didn't make it easy. I was like the first time I was really, really forced to push through. I was getting a check, in basic training. I had a young family, and I'm like, okay, even though I didn't feel good about it, I'm like, okay, I gotta keep going. Of course, everybody's not going to have an experience like that, but I think, success breeds confidence. And so you have to find those things, you almost have to set yourself up for success. And I'm going to kind of take it in a different direction because, again, I was in the military, but I feel like outside of the military, out here in the real world, one of the things you can do that can really impact your mind is to work on your physical body. Because once you start, let's say, getting yourself in shape, as far as either losing weight, putting on muscle, or whatever else, the cool thing about working on your body is that it doesn't cost a lot of money. I know people want to make it seem like it does, but it really doesn't. I mean, you can go run in the park or down your street for free. You can join a gym for little to nothing, or go to a gym for free, on your campus as part of your tuition. And you start seeing results with that, because that was another thing that helped me, honestly. I started running about 6 years ago. And it's not something I like, even though I was in the Army, but I did it because for health reasons. And it really impacted my mind because of the fact that it gave me again, it kind of set me up for having stamina, not just physically, but mentally, especially in the speaking game where you experience so many ups and downs in getting business. And so, you know, that's something I would encourage anyone to do. Take up getting yourself in better shape physically, because it's going to impact your mind. And I mean, there's so many people that you can read up on, and they were like, you know, I was 400 pounds, 300 pounds, and, you know, I committed myself to losing this weight, and it changed my whole life. It changed my whole mentality, mindset around. And so that's one thing I feel. And I know some people might be listening to this and be like, come on, man, really? You know, I'm gonna no, because it's not gonna be easy. Nothing that is going to bring on change will not be easy. But I feel like just changing your physical, we need to do it. You know, you want to be healthy, and just the impact that it has on the mind, I think it's just, it can do so much for you, because then you start to focus better. You start to build confidence because you see, like, oh man, I'm putting on inches on my arms, or, you know, I'm losing inches on my waist, and, you know, you get the compliments. And success is really about confidence. Everything we do is really about confidence.
Yeah, I'm an avid I guess person who encourages people to run. I picked up running during COVID, like quarantine, and I haven't really looked back since. There will definitely be times where I'm up and down, and I think that's perfectly fine. I think people expect to kind of like start something and then to just go all the way through with it, and it's fine. I think it's fine to like go through your ups and downs, your battles, and I think that's exactly what running is. You mentioned mindset and kind of giving you that mental fortitude, because when I'm running, there's a bunch of times where I want to quit. I don't like, even though even though like I enjoy running, there's a bunch of times where I want to quit, but it kind of reinforces into my head that confidence that, hey, I can do this. This is hard, but I still prevailed. So one of my other questions is that you mentioned faith as one of the things to keep in mind when working on your shape. And to me, nowadays, it seems that a lot of young adults don't have any faith in a higher power. Can you tell us why having faith in something other than yourself is so important?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of challenges, obviously, in this world. There's a lot of things going on. And so to understand, you know, that there's something outside of you and that gives you purpose, I think it's just so important. Because, and I honestly, I ultimately feel like um, the spiritual realm will be able to, at some point, be defined scientifically. I really do. You know, I feel like technology or whatever will be like, at some point, be like, hey, this is what we've discovered about this spiritual realm. And because it's you know, again, there's so many challenges out there, and to be able to draw strength from something outside of yourself, I think it means a lot, and it can really keep you going. It keeps you motivated. And I know we all have our own philosophies, approaches to spirituality, and that's fine. You know, I'm not one that's going to say, hey, you have to be this or that or whatever. You know, I'm not, I can't, I don't have the knowledge, you know, to say one is right over the other. But I think, you know, there's moral law and ethical law, and so, and those are just kind of the natural laws of the earth and humanity. And I feel like if you use that as a guide, then yeah, you know, you can draw from that to find strength in your journey.
So, going on to like another topic, what's the biggest thing that you believe contributed to your success and where you are in life now? And then onto that, are there any things that you wish you could have done differently when you were younger?
What contributed to my success is, like I was saying earlier, just developing confidence and understanding the amount of effort it takes to make things happen, and you know, that 3D success, that desperation, I started getting a little older, and I'm like, I want to make my mark. I want to have a legacy. And, I was disappointed for a while because I'm just like, man, I don't like where I'm at, right now. I can honestly say over the past 4 years or so, 5 years, I really feel like, okay, yeah, I'm making a legacy for my kids. And, this is something that they can say, well, my dad does this. My dad has traveled the country. He's spoken at 50 colleges, and he came from a little small town in Louisiana that was the second poorest town in the country. And so that's been very motivating. And what was the second part of your question again?
I actually forgot. But that's fine. So you mentioned legacy, and I think legacy is something that everybody wants to leave behind. So I guess when it's all said and done, what do you want the legacy for yourself to be?
That I was an authentic person that really wanted to help people be their best selves, and I was passionate about what I believed in, and I showed I was passionate through my actions, and it wasn't just all lip service. And so, that's what I want, my legacy to be, that I made a difference because I took action. If I had to give you the quick Cliff Notes synopsis of it.
So you mentioned that a person's word is worthless without action. What are a few small steps that people listening can take to implement immediately after finishing this podcast? To not just make their words just words, but actually to turn those words into reality.
Well, I think, like I was mentioning earlier, writing down what you want to do, that's very, very important. And giving yourself deadlines to accomplish those things. You don't want to make things overly challenging, okay? Sometimes we have the tendency to come up with these real grand goals, and we lose sight of them because they're either too far out or they're just, overwhelming. And so, you want to come out, you want to have short goals, something that you can accomplish in a week, 2 weeks, all right, and get to it, accomplish it. And it really, again, it's always going to come down to discipline. And so I think those are some of the things right there. It's just making a list of things that you're going to do. Also having have an accountability partner. And I know a lot of times that's very uncomfortable for us because we don't want people telling us nothing, or calling us out when we're doing something wrong. But if you want to be successful, a lot of times you have to have that. You got to have that person that's going to be in your corner. Yes, they'll be your biggest cheerleader, but they're going to be honest with you when you need to step up your game. And so I think those things are right there, and share your plans, of course, with your accountability partner, and make sure it's somebody that, again, really has your best interests. And so those things right there, I would say, would help you take the actions that you need to get on your path to success. And another thing, just also understanding that, hey, nothing happens overnight. So success is a process, not an event. And so, like people always like to say, you're going to have to grind. It's going to be a roller coaster. Every day is not going to be a great day, but you want the majority of your days to be pretty good. I like to say champions don't win every game, but they're still champions. Why? Because they win the majority of the time. They win the majority of their games, but they don't win every game. We had the basketball game last night. None of those teams are undefeated. You rarely see that in basketball, but somebody's going to be crowned champion in another week or two, regardless of the fact that they lost games.
And I think something very important that you just said is that a lot of people feel as if that they need to be great every day. And I think the cool thing is that regardless of if you do have a bad day, it's kind of like in your control for the most part of how your day goes. Because I know for me personally, there's days where I had a bad day, and it's mostly my fault. It's mostly because I didn't do the things I knew I was supposed to do. And every podcast, I just want to end off with a few questions that I'm gonna, or two questions that I'm gonna ask every single person to just kind of see what they, just like how successful people think, and see if there's a correlation between any of that. So, first of all, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, having a positive legacy for my why, which is, family, kids. And I think everybody's definition can be a little different. But I know for me, it's being able to lead the life I want to lead and be a positive example, make an impact, and leave a legacy.
And let's say you have the world's attention and are able to tell people two things. What would be your advice?
If I had the world's attention and I was able to tell people two things, I would say that, first off, I would say that we're here to support each other and impact each other. You're not here alone. And so a lot of times, in popular culture, people tend to be very headstrong. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do and I don't care. And I think the reality is that, we do need to care because we all need each other. And so that would be one thing. And then the second thing is to be persistent. Be persistent at whatever you love, because that's what's going to be what's needed. When you whatever you want to do, whoever you love, whatever you want to do for them, you got to just keep pushing. And so, because that's what it all boils down to, is that, again, we're not islands on this earth. We're together. We have family. We got friends. We got community. And so, to take care of others, we got to push through a lot of obstacles. So just keep pushing, keep grinding.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mills, and that's it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Case by Casie. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to drop a like, follow, or rate on whatever platform you're listening on. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you want to help others prepare for the path to success, don't forget to share this episode on social media so we can reach success together.